While all the world's attention was focused on the summit between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping in Beijing, the Russian dictator also decided to draw attention to himself, but unfortunately in a bloody way. Last night, Russia carried out the largest air attack since the beginning of the war. More than 1,500 drones and over 100 missiles hit Ukraine in just one day. And monitoring services warn that this is not yet the end of the massive attack on Ukrainian cities, because some missiles are already loaded into launchers and have not yet been fired. And right now, Ukrainian rescuers are clearing the rubble of completely destroyed residential buildings that were attacked by Russia. Unfortunately, there are dead, wounded, and missing people. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has already announced an act of retaliation against Russia for this attack. And that's why all the details of Vladimir Putin's bloody attack on Ukraine, will be discussed in this episode. I'm Alexei Pichi. Let's discuss this together. But before we begin, I ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this episode, leave any comment under this video, and subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pichi News. The link is in this video's description. So, it has been officially stated that in the last 24 hours from 8 a.m. on May 13 to 8 a.m. on May 14, Russia launched more than 1,600 drones and missiles. For reference, the previous record was set in March 2026. At that time, Russia launched 948 drones in one day. Now it's 1,600 to be precise. It's actually 1,650 and something. So that's almost double. And that's not a coincidence. It's the result of that very ceasefire that Trump imposed on Ukraine for May 9th. It's also a deliberate move by dictator Putin to draw attention to himself while everyone discusses the Trump and Xi Jinping summit in Beijing, to which he wasn't invited. In one day, Russia launched 2 waves of attacks. The first wave was during the day on May 13th with about 750 drones. The strike was mainly on the western regions and railway infrastructure. And at that time, Russia was hitting Ukraine's railways and gas and oil facilities. Ukraine. The second wave came during the night of May 13th to 14th, 675 drones, 56 missiles. The main target was the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Moreover, after the pro-Russian Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, left power, a daytime attack by the Russians hit Uzhhorod for the first time during the entire war. The city is on the border with Hungary, and Budapest summoned the Russian ambassador for explanations. By the way, this is also the first time since the beginning of the war. Now, the details of the nighttime strike on Kyiv. The Ukrainian Air Force reports that air defense shot down or neutralized 652 out of 675 drones and 41 out of 56 missiles. At first glance, about 93% were intercepted. That's a good result. But the remaining 7% of 1,600 missiles and drones amounts to more than 100 actual hits. And here's what they mean on the ground. Darnitsky district of Kyiv. Part of the entrance of a 9-story residential building collapsed. In the photos and videos, there's a pile of concrete and rebar where apartments used to be. According to the police and the mayor of Kyiv, Klitschko, there are 5 dead and 44 injured throughout Kyiv. 11 people were pulled out from under the rubble. Among the injured, there is a 1-month-old baby who is alive. By noon, the State Emergency Service reported that at least 20 people are still considered missing as a result of the building collapse in the Darnitsky district of Kyiv. Meanwhile, the energy sector was struck. DTEK, is the largest private energy company in Ukraine, reported that a transformer substation and a high-voltage power line in Kyiv were damaged. The water supply has been disrupted. In the eastern part of the capital, in Kremenchuk in the Poltava region, there was also a strike on industrial energy facilities. Thousands of customers are left without gas. And here, regarding Kyiv, I want to point out that Russians cannot be trusted once again. These are wild, unwashed, simply disgusting creatures. I'll explain why I'm being so critical. Remember how the Russians shouted that if something flies over Red Square on May 9th, then they'd attack Kyiv. Nothing flew over Red Square, but the Russians attacked Kyiv, and quite massively at that. And it's obvious that they used this ceasefire as a moment to prepare for this attack. So, that's why everything they're yelling from those swamps in Moscow shouldn't be taken seriously at all. Once again, these are wild, unwashed Russians who absolutely can't be trusted. And you Russians who are watching my videos, get out of here. You are just dust, trash that has no place in the civilized world. Let's move on. Strikes also hit Kharkiv. Kharkiv Regional Military Administration head Sinehubov said the Shevchenkivsky, Saltivsky and other city districts were attacked. A total of 14 people were injured. 2 of them are in serious condition. All of them were diagnosed with blast injuries. Odesa region. A strike on the port infrastructure in Chornomorsk. 2 people were injured. Chornomorsk is one of the main grain ports through which Ukraine exports grain to Africa and Asia. And so, a strike on it is a strike on the global food market, and Russia chose this target for a reason. This is revenge for exposing its trade in stolen Ukrainian grain, which was found in Turkey and Israel. President Zelensky commented on the attack with words that are important to quote verbatim. This is definitely not the action of those who believe the war is coming to an end. It's important that our partners don't stay silent about this strike. The Pural program is needed so that Ukraine can defend itself against such ballistic attacks. And also, in the interests of everyone who seeks peace, it is necessary to continue putting pressure on Russia. The Russians' tactics here are absolutely clear. The drones flew in waves for more than 30 hours. Usually, missiles are launched at night when people are sleeping to cause maximum destruction and anxiety. The goal is to exhaust Ukrainian air defense and at the same time put maximum psychological pressure on civilians. But the main question is why now? Before May 9, Russia announced a so-called 3-day truce and asked Ukraine not to attack Red Square. Ukraine gave these guarantees and eventually recorded hundreds of ceasefire violations by Russia. But the bitter truth is that the pause allowed Russia to stockpile drones and missiles. While Ukraine was proposing to extend the ceasefire, Russia was preparing a massive assault and launched it immediately after the so-called truce ended. So while Zelensky was talking about the need to extend this truce, Putin was sitting and calculating how many missiles and drones he could launch at Ukraine as soon as the truce ended. To understand the scale, just in April, for the entire month since 2026, Russia has launched more than 8,000 drones. This was the highest monthly figure for the entire war. And at the same time, according to the Institute for the Study of War, over the past 4 weeks, Russian troops have lost 70 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory. So, on the ground, at the front, they're falling back. They're losing positions. But in the air, it's a record. Russia can't win at the front and is switching to targeting civilian infrastructure. And if in April there were 8,000 drones for the whole month, then in May, just in the last 24 hours, there were more than 1,500. At the same time, in the last 24 hours, there have been 187 combat clashes at the front. About 50 attacks on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Pokrovsk and Huliaipol directions. Russia is bombing from the air and pushing on the ground at the same time. And here Zelensky is absolutely right. This is not the action of those who want peace. And finally, I'll add a quote from Zelensky. It's important that there are sanctions from all over the world against Russia. Russia's responsibility for the war and our sanctions pressure must be 100% effective. And it's also very important that the world does not stay silent about this terror and stands with Ukraine. And here, friends, I want to highlight one important point. All my videos are translated into more than 20 languages around the world. You can go to the main page of this YouTube channel and see that the news about Ukraine and what Russia is doing against Ukraine is being translated into a huge number of languages. The global audience can see absolutely everything that is happening. That's why I want to ask you to support this YouTube channel financially with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. I will be grateful for any support you can give. And of course, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like the video and leave your comments. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.